Good morning. Today's a day of first, which is pretty exciting for me. Hopefully it'll be exciting for you too. So my message for you today is about renewal, and it is about that you can make a different choice at any moment. Anytime you can make a different choice. When my journey of life first started in high school days, I discovered this book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. And a lot of people that spend any time with me go, not Jonathan again, because I always talk about Jonathan. But what I learned from that was a life principle that perfection lives within you. And then as I kept going through life, I got exposed to a book called Real Love by Greg Bear. And he talked about unconditional love and recognizing what unconditional love was. And I realized that I needed some work to do because a lot of my love was conditional love. And so I put that in my toolkit of life principles. And then a little bit later, I discovered 4 agreements. And it's a way to discard those false beliefs that you have of how you interpret people and as they're interacting with you. And it's like, okay, I don't need that. I don't need to make assumptions. I don't need to do these things. And so what happened with this is over my life, I became interested in having a motto. It's like, okay, I want to have a motto. What is it? So I chose, happy is a choice, and I choose happy. And a lot of people that know me also know that they get tired of hearing that saying, but it is true. And I have some situations where things are a little bit troubling, and they go, well, Rick, are you really going to say happy is a choice during this very stressful time? And I'm like, you know what, you're right. But it's my intention to always be happy. And that's why I say that, because that's my intention. Because if I set that as my intention, then I'm going to go in that direction. And so then I walk through the doors of religious science. And I'm like, wow, there's a lot of books here. There's a lot of material here. I don't think I need to look anymore. Here it all is for me. I mean, look at Ernest Holmes' book. My bookshelf has, 20 books, and it's like, okay, this is the principle. This is what I need to understand. This is what I've been looking for. So those other books and experiences that I had just led me and kind of pushed me in the right direction until I could come here. And now that I'm here, I still have that saying, happy is a choice, and I choose happy. But what about those other times? I don't know about you, but sometimes I watch movies, and movies kind of move me in either a happy way or a sad way or a contemplation way. And so I wanted to share just a little bit about a movie that I watched called Soul Surfer. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's Bethany Hamilton was a 13-year-old just living the life in Hawaii on the beach and a surfer. Mom and dad was surfer, everybody in the family was surfer, and she had these visions of being in competition and just wiping out the competition by being a surfer. And so at 13 years old, she went for her morning swim and surf, and she was attacked by a shark. And the shark bit off her arm just below the shoulder. And there was very dramatic getting her to the hospital. She had lost 60% of her blood. They were able to save her life. And so after that had happened, then she was there in the hospital, and she could just see the look on her parents' face and her family's face and her friend's face. That look of despair, that it's over. You had this tragedy and it's too bad, and so now you're going to have to figure out something else to do. And she's like, well, I want to surf. That's my life. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to make a choice, and I'm going to surf. And her protective parents are going, no, you can't surf. You know, it's never been done before. You just can't do it. And she says, no, I'm going to surf. So she kept on, and so they devised a board for her to use to compensate for only having one hand to hold on to the board. And she practiced with it, and she got so that she could compensate for the fact that she only had one arm. And so she kept going, and she ended up getting rid of the specialized board because she found that she could do what she needed to do with the regular board. The special board was kind of holding her back. And so she went through that competition. And she did some competitions, and everybody, they actually, gave her like a sympathy vote. Everybody know what a sympathy vote is? It's like, okay, she's got a problem, and so let's just make it look nice. And that really ticked her off. She's like, wait a minute, no, I want to win this thing, outright. I want to win. And so as she went through, she kept doing competitions, and she kept striving, and you could see the transformation in her parents. Not only in her, but in her parents, because the drive that she had to surf was strong. It was a life goal. It's what she wanted to do. And you could actually, as you're watching the movie, see the parents change and started to become supportive and went, oh, okay, this is what you want to do. We're going to support you. We're going to get you going. We're going to be there for you. And she kept going, and she actually 1 year later won the Nationals. And so for me, you look at that situation, and if she looked at all the people of the past that have had a type of handicap that said, my life is over, I'm just going to ride out my time. If she followed that example, look at all that she would have been missing. And look at what her parents and the growth that they had, what they would be missing. But what was involved here? What did she have to base on that with the tragedy or the accident that had happened to her, what did she base that on that she could go forward, that she could compete? Because nobody in the past had done that. So why would she think that she could do it? And she could think she could do it because that's what she wanted to do. She was going to be dedicated in mental and physical to make that happen. Well, we have a principle that goes with that. From Ernest Holmes, he says, there is a principle and there is a precedent. And principle is never bound by precedent. We never limit our view of life, but what we or anyone else has ever accomplished. The possibility of life is inherent within the capacity to imagine what life is, backed by the power to produce the imagery or divine imagination. So as you look at that, and so let's just talk about, a lot of times whenever I hear things that I kind of label jargon, I go, okay, principle is not bound by precedent. Okay, it's a little bouncy and you can, hear it a lot, and so you go, oh, that's nice. But what is it? So what are the two key words in there? Principle and precedent. So what is principle? Principle is first cause, which is spirit. And so you go, okay, I'm sure most people have heard the phrase, God is all there is. When I was going through practitioner class, they kind of looked at me every time the answer was God is all there is, because that was my answer, because I knew that. So that was pretty cool. So that is first cause. And you go, well, how do I connect? How do I connect? Well, there's lots of practices. There's lots of things that you can do to connect. But the easiest thing to talk about right now is that we connect through our intuition. Spirit talks to us through our intuition. So that's first cause. Now let's talk about precedent for a second. It's a secondary effect. It's the events of the past predicting the future. So how many of us have made the statement, it always happens that way? That never happens. Use those absolutes. Has anybody done that before? Never. Thank you. And so whenever you go down the path of those absolutes, you're saying that because this thing happened in the past, then it's going to happen in the future. How many examples, besides, I've just shared with you Bethany, how many examples can you even think of where first time ever something happened? I'm a big golf fan, and the Masters was just finished. And I love golf. Kind of maybe too much I love golf. But anyway, so Masters, if you're not familiar with golf, the Masters tournament was a week ago, and it's a big deal. Like there's all these golf tournaments all year round, but there are 4 what they call majors, and if you win that, you're a big deal. You're a really big deal. And so last week was the Masters. Well, something happened unique at the Masters. Never happened before in, I forget how many years, 65 years. Never happened. But last week it happened. And what was that? Matsumune, I probably butchered his name, but he won the Masters. The first Asian person to win the Masters ever. Now, if he had that idea that if I looked at the past and nobody's ever won, so I'm not going to win, what kind of motivation would that be for him? Do you think any of those golfers that go play the Masters go out there thinking, well, I'm not going to win? Anybody? You think anybody does that? No. They go out there saying that this course is me against the course and I'm going to do my best job, and whatever happens, happens, but I know when I leave I've done my best job. And that's what he did. And he walked away winning. Never happened before. So you probably have examples after examples of never happening before. So in the moment of renewals and for starting anew, just know that you can always make another choice. Always. Sometimes I've heard, oh, well, when you wake up tomorrow, you can make a different choice. And how many of you, I know I have a dieting thing, and you go, well, next week, on Monday, I'm going to start that diet. And I'm going to stick to it on Monday. And then it's Thursday when you've committed to do this. So Friday, well, I'm dieting on Mondays, so I better get the good stuff in now. So you eat a big meal and lots of goods and sweets on Friday, and then Saturday you go, oh man, it's getting close. I gotta go. I gotta do it. And then Sunday, and then Monday arrives, and you go, all right, I'm doing it. I'm going on my diet. And then Thursday rolls around. This is hard. This is really, really hard. I'm hungry. And so what happens is you have a choice there, and then a lot of times I can confess that was me, and just 2 cookies won't hurt on Thursday. Just 2. Oh, wait, the row's gone. Oh, but that's okay. I ate the row of cookies, but, I'm going to, oh, well, I never can stay on a diet, so I'm going to give up. And then that happens for a while, and then And then I decide, oh, well, the weight really is, I really want to work on my weight, and so let me go through that diet again. And so that's the cycle. But what choice could I have made? On Friday, I could have said, yep, I slipped. I had that row of cookies, but I really, really want to stick with this diet. And so I'm going to. And so I could make a choice. But what happens if I don't make a choice that day and it comes Saturday? Well, I can make the choice on Saturday. What happens if after I ate that row of cookies, I decided that was really good, but that's not what I really want, so I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to eat that. I'm going to stick with my diet. Nothing stops you. You can make that choice in that instant. And that applies to anything that you have in your life. You can make a different choice, and you can make it immediately. And so I've talked to you about Bethany Hamilton, and can you imagine or even look at that and go, how would I be received if I went into Bethany's hospital room and said, happy is a choice. I choose happy. How do you think I would be received? Not very well, because it's not a moment to be happy. Well, how many of us have every moment in our life where we're happy? Anybody? Because I want to meet you. Nobody. So I have a really good friend of mine that has a mantra. It's Josh Reeves. And so it became the answer for me. And I want to share it with you. And that mantra is, I can experience fear, but practice love. I can experience anger, but practice love. I can experience hurt, but practice love. Is there any emotion or things that you might have gone through that's not covered in those three? I think it kind of puts a pretty big barrier around some of the emotions and things that we experience. What I'd like to do is invite you to say this mantra with me, if you want to. I can experience fear, but practice love. I can experience anger, but practice love. I can experience hurt, but practice love. What do you think of my new mantra? Do you think between the two of them I have it covered? I'm not giving up on happy. I'm just not going to do it. But realistically, the other mantra in those hard times is something that you can grab a hold of. And for me, what it does is it takes away this always, never. It takes it away. Because if you're based in love, God is love, and love is all there is, and love moves mountains. Love changes the world. And so with that mantra, you can set out and you can make that different decision that makes you happy, that moves you in a direction, or actually just helps you get through stuff. Has anybody didn't want a solution, just get me through it? Has anybody had that before? Just get me through it? Well, if you focus on love and bring your presence of love to any situation, you can get through it. You can get through it. And that's my message for you today, is principle is not bound by precedent. You can always make a new choice. It's never too late. You can always do it. And I encourage you to remember that God is all there is and that love is all there is. And so it is.